Welcome back to the channel. I'm Dan Brown. This is episode 8 in our series on gospel piano. In this lesson, I'm not going to show you anything new. It's going to be a review, and we're going to go all the way back to episode 1 and just briefly touch on the things that we've been working on. I want you to just sit back and relax and just take a minute to reflect on what you've been working on and how you're doing on this. So if you're ready, we're going to get started right now. In the first episode, I introduced the program and I told you a couple things. I told you that the program was for beginners, and I really need to clarify that because what's happened for me is that as we've moved through this, I realized that some of the skills that I've showed you are kind of difficult. And so when we talk about beginners, there's like the very beginning beginner, and there's all these different levels of advancement on the piano. I do want to say this, and this is really important. This is maybe the most important thing I'm going to tell you today. When you start learning the piano, you need to know, say you're in a key, you need to know the major scale, and you need to know the 6 chords. If you count the diminished chord at 7, but you really need to know those 6 chords. There's 3 majors and there's 3 minors. I just did a lesson on this in B flat, and if you haven't seen it, I think that'll be really helpful for you. But I do want to acknowledge that the lessons have been somewhat difficult, and my goal is to back things up a little bit and to make it a little bit more manageable for you. In episode 1, I also said that the lessons were going to be short. And when I said that, I meant like they were going to be really short. And the way it's turned out, I think, is that I've probably put too much material in each lesson. So my goal moving forward is to show you a little something and let you work on that and just come back later to do more. So I want to acknowledge that some of the lessons, they haven't been real long, but I feel like they've been really packed with skills. The last thing that I want to talk about from episode 1 is that I told you I was going to share some of the YouTube channels that I like to watch on gospel piano. And one of those is called Pretty Simple Music. And the host there is a guy named KC. He's an amazing pianist and musician, and he's great to watch. He's high energy. This is a channel that I watch and that I learn from, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. Let's do a quick overview of what we learned in episode 2. In episode 2, we were bouncing this B flat with a C minor. We looked at the inversions of B flat. I have a separate video on that would be really helpful if you haven't seen it. And I don't have a video on the C minor, but I will make one. One way you can practice this, I'll show you a real simple exercise you can do, is just lay something down in your left hand, like the B flats, and just with your right hand, okay? So you're just moving through the B flat and the C minor. Be patient with yourself. It'll take a little time for you to get the feel for this. For episode 3, we had a 3A and a 3B. Let's look at episode 3A and what we were doing there. We were taking this chord, which I call it a B flat 6. If there's a 7 anywhere that you're playing, you have to call it a 13. But what we were doing, we were dropping these down like this. So you're moving from a B flat to an E flat. And then we were also doing that same kind of thing right here. Okay? Yes, this is an advanced skill. In order to do this, you need to know your chord inversions, you need to know about 6 chords and 7 chords, and you need to know about 9 chords. And what I really want to do as we move forward is just back off the level of difficulty, because I know a lot of you, I know this is over your head. And when I made this lesson, I'm thinking, well, how do I do it? And I know that the way that I do it may be a little bit over your head right now. And so it's better if we back off and we simplify things, get it down to your level, and in time, you will be able to work up to that. So that's what we did in Lesson 3A. If you had trouble with Lesson 3A, then Lesson 3B is going to definitely be more manageable for you. Episode Lesson 3B was a lot easier, and I did that intentionally because I wanted to give you kind of just an easier way to do this. And here's what that looked like. For Lesson 3B, I just showed you how if you have a B flat, you can just walk right up to E flat there. Okay? Let me add this hand. And down. Same thing. You can also add an octave here, and it gives it kind of just, it fills out the chord and it gives it more power. Listen. And I'm going to take it down. And that's how I want all of the lessons in this course to be. I want you to be able to just get your hands on the keys and play and feel good about it. I don't want you getting stressed out. I don't want you thinking, oh, this is too hard. Because guys, I promise you, I can show you the way I do it, which, I've been doing this a long time, or I can show you simplified ways that you're going to be able to do it now and feel good about it. And that's what I want. I want you to feel good about everything that you do in the course. Okay, let's do a quick review of what we did in episode 4. In episode 4, we were moving from the B flat down to the F, or the F7. Let me show you what that looks like right now. So with the left hand just walks down like that, or it can also walk up like this. Okay? So there are different options with your left hand. There's a couple of them. And then in the right hand, one of the movements did this. And if you look at that, that's exactly what we did in episode 2, just a little bounce between B flat and C minor. So really, guys, I know it looks tricky. All you're doing, you're taking a B flat and you're moving it to an F7 chord. Okay? That was one of the movements. So it would look like this. And then the other one went something like this. As I reflect on this, I think these movements, I know these movements are really pretty advanced, and I hope that you're still with me, because I feel like that was kind of like a reoccurring theme, is that I was giving you stuff that was hard to play. And so again, I think what my goal in this whole lesson, this discussion that we're having today, is that I'm going to make things easier for you. I'm going to make them shorter, and I'm just going to make them more manageable. That's my goal. In episode 5, we dropped down to an F chord, and we were just looking at a handful of different ways to move around in that chord. And so let's review that right now. Guys, I won't spend a lot of time on this, but basically the movements, when you put it all together, sound like this. Or this. just remember this about everything that we're talking about today. You can do this in every key. So it's not just F. You can do this everywhere. You can do it 12 different places. And guys, yes, I do want to acknowledge that this is more of an advanced move. And if you're working on it, take your time, be patient, do what you can do. If it's too hard, move away from it and try something else. That little segment that I was just talking about was really episode 5A. In 5B, we ended up doing something really different, and I want to show you that right now. So we ended up doing something like this. And guys, this is a really beautiful movement, and you've got octaves all over the place. Again, we're in the key of B flat, and we're down on an F7, but you can do this all over the place. In episode 6, we were doing drops from 13 to 9 chords. Let me show you that right now. We actually talked about this earlier. This is what it looks like on B flat. And it would go to E flat. You can do it here. I think in that particular lesson, episode 6, we were doing it here. Like that. And you can also do it here. So guys, again, these are more advanced moves, and my feeling is that some of you had difficulty with that. And so here's how it is. With the piano, whenever you see something like a lesson on the piano, take away what you can. If you can't learn all of it, learn a little bit of it. Just take the part that resonates well with you and that is accessible for you. Okay? It's it's kind of like those shows where the people run in with the grocery carts, and it's like, how much food can you put in your cart in 1 minute? That's how the piano is, guys. And you know, it's a little different, but take what you can. Take what you need, and if your plate is too full, then come back to that later on. We're winding down on a review of the first 7 episodes. In episode 7, we were moving from a B flat to a D, and let me show you that right now. So guys, what I said in episode 7 is like how D and B flat are like way far removed. But what we were doing is we were walking up to D, and I talked about how you can make this a D7. I talked about how you can roll it. Let me slow that down. You can roll it here and here. And then I showed you how you can move up chromatically like that. This is a D with an F sharp bass. And guys, I'm saying this over and over. These are difficult moves. These are not necessarily the way that you have to do it. There are ways to do all this stuff that are easier. And so that's going to be my goal, is to show you those. And I'm going to talk more about that in just a moment. So I think for me to sum this all up, and I'm sure you've been kind of hearing this through this lesson today, I think that almost everything I showed you was pretty advanced. And my hope is that it didn't discourage you from playing gospel piano. But I have a feeling that it was over the heads of a lot of the viewers. So here's what we're going to do next. I want to do just 4 more lessons, and the reason that everything has been in B flat, and you might be wondering, like, why is everything in B flat? You're learning a key. You're learning the chords that go in that key. So you have B flat, E flat, F, and here's what I want to show you next. The next 4 lessons, and I'm gonna break this up into nice bite-sized pieces. Here's what the 4 lessons that are coming up are going to look like. So the next lesson, guys, I'm going to show you how to just take a B flat and move up to this B diminished right here. Okay, that'll be one lesson. And then the next lesson will just be on C minor and how you can take it and move it down. And it resolves to an F7. Okay? So I hope you can see this stuff's going to be easier. Okay? So it's B flat, B diminished, C minor to F. And that's in 2 lessons. And then I also want to do a lesson, this is important, on the G minor because it sounds like this. Okay? Now to get to the G minor, you use this diminished chord. You go F, F sharp diminished, C. It leads into it. So guys, that's what I'd like to do is just 4 more lessons in the key of B flat. And I do want to continue the series, but I want to change it. And the change I want to make is I want it to be more manageable for you. I want the lessons to be shorter, where you have like 1 basic skill and you work on it, you come back, and you'll be ready for the next one. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you back real soon. Bye-bye.